Folks, this is DG Rider in an sea of orange blooms here in the Arizona desert. What we're here to talk about though is this yellow thing sitting here in front of me. This is a 2015 Honda Pioneer 500. I've had it for approximately 1 year, so I wanted to do a 1 year review on it for you guys. I bought the machine used from MLS Power Sports in Georgetown, Kentucky. If you're in that neck of the woods and you need a machine, go see them because they're great folks to deal with. Had 400 miles on it when I bought it. I put about 200 on it in Kentucky before I relocated back to Arizona. In the 6 months since I've come back to Arizona, it's up to 1,900 miles basically. So had quite a bit of seat time on it. So I have several gripes and likes about it. Let's talk about what I like first. I paid $6,500 to MLS for it plus taxes. That was not a remarkable price for this machine. This was used. Probably could have gotten it for $5,500 maybe in the same shape from a private party. So the number one thing that's nice about 500 Pioneers is they tend to be cheap. They're cheap new. The 2015, 2016 like this 2015 model are all manual shift. There's no automatic. In my opinion, that keeps the resale value a little lower than the newer models and other side-by-sides. To get a cheaper side-by-side than that, you're going to have to get into a 10-year-old Terex or something, 2-seat Terex with 5,000 miles on it, and who knows how much life it has left in it. So as far as the side-by-side game goes, they're a relative bargain. So that's the nice thing about them. No surprising area is this here. Looked really tight. When I sat it in the showroom, it felt tight. In practice out on the trail, surprisingly, I have found it to be quite comfortable. I'm not a small guy. Let me show you. I'm not a small guy. I'm not Shaq or anything, but I'm a corn-fed Bubba. And a fairly big guy, and this is not a big machine. So I'm surprised to tell you that I actually have spent all day in the thing several times, and I find it very comfortable. The ergonomics are spot on. The power, maybe because I wasn't expecting much from a 500. Power has always, to me, been adequate, maybe a little bit more. Granted, I have not had two people in it, but for the way I ride, which admittedly is very casual, I think the power is adequate. It always seems to have a little pedal left in it. I like the manual control of the gears. That's something I really like about it. 2017 and up, I have an automatic mode if you're interested in that. So let's talk about what I don't like about it. Anyway, actually, before we do that, one other thing I do like about it, and this is actually a like and a dislike, the size of the machine. It's a small machine, 50-inch trail legal machine with a short wheelbase. I'm going to guess and say this has the smallest footprint of any side-by-side you can buy. It's tiny. It's the size of a big ATV. That means positive that it will squeeze into tiny little places, fit into tiny little garage spaces, be hauled around in trucks, and squeeze through trees that will stop any other non-50-inch side-by-side. That's the positive. The negative side of that small size is that it tends to pitch and bounce and struggle with really big obstacles that larger machines don't have trouble with. It has short travel. It tends to lift tires if you drive over big ruts or big rocks. That's not so much, I hate to call it a negative, because that's really as much a choice as it is a negative. You choose a small machine to deal with small trails, and that's what you get. So we'll talk more about that towards the end of this video, but keep in mind what you ride and be honest with yourself when you choose a side-by-side. So other thing I don't like about it, I've been bitching about it since they came out, is this rack. It does not come with a bed. You can get it as an option You know, I'll say this, find me another side-by-side that doesn't have a bed on it. And I'll wait on you to do that, because good luck. I owned the 700 version of this before this, and the nicest thing about, one of the nice things about it, side-by-side ownership, is that big bed where you can just throw all your crap back there and pretty much leave it alone. It'll stay put. It might tumble around a little bit, but it's not going anywhere. For the 20 years before that, I spent time strapping down objects to hard steel racks on ATVs with ratchet straps, where you had to put them so tight that you could play tunes on them. That's not something I miss. And even then, they would still usually move around a little bit. You know, by not putting a dump bed, or bed I should say, on the back of this, Honda kind of denied everyone a basic side-by-side feature. Yes, they have an optional one that you can buy for, I don't know, I think it's 300 bucks, something like that. Clamps on. At the very least, that needs to be standard on this machine. Realistically, they need to put a real bed on it. It doesn't have to dump, to me personally. That would be hard to do on an inexpensive machine like this. But it does need a bed. The rack does not make it more versatile. It does not make it easier to use. I don't know who fed Honda that line, but it's not true. Whoever said that at Honda, obviously has never had to deal with it, or they wouldn't be spreading fertilizer like that. So, another thing I don't like about it, something that has been addressed by the aftermarket, is that it doesn't have a locking front diff. In a time when most any ATV side-by-side standard feature is a front locking diff, which has been for decades for some manufacturers, though not Honda, admittedly. They decided not to use it on this. Don't know why. Maybe the price point didn't justify it. Maybe it was a limitation from engineering. I don't know. But didn't get it. Good news is the aftermarket has dealt with that. Torque Masters makes a drop-in locker, so you can have true four-wheel drive on this machine. And you know, the biggest dislike about it, period, is the ride quality. Again, small machine, stiff springs, it rides badly. It rides worse than badly, honestly. It'll rearrange your spine. If you're going to jam in this thing, you better be young and in good shape, because you're going to go a few rounds with Mike Tyson if you don't. Everyone says larger tires, which I will be doing hopefully next month or two, help. These are obviously the original tires. Larger tires will help it ride better. Due to the size and the relatively tippy nature of a 50-inch machine, there's simply no way that I would go larger on the tires without widening out with the wheel spacers. I plan to do both of those. Both of those should help the ride. At whatever point that happens, I'll report back, let you know. If I can get a decent ride out of the machine, I would actually be fairly happy with it. I enjoy parts of it. I enjoy the machine itself. I get out on the trails with it, have fun with it. The biggest thing to me is you have to ask yourself what you're going to do with this machine. Do you really need a tiny machine? Because honestly, a lot of people out there saying they need a tiny machine to fit on their property when they really don't. The 10 inches, think about 5 inches per side on this vehicle, and you've got the difference between a 500 and a 700. And the 700 rides a lot better, and we won't even get into the 1000. Again, another step above. But the size is a choice. It's not really a disadvantage or an advantage. It's a choice. If you have restricted trails, that's an easy choice to make. 50-inch trails, super tight property trails where you've ridden ATVs only your whole life, this machine will shine on that type of trail and that type of terrain. Wide open ATV and side-by-side parks where Razor 1000s go through and dig giant ruts and climb up huge boulders, this machine tends to struggle with stuff like that. It's just a design choice. As I said, any 50-inch machine is probably going to struggle with it to some degree. So my advice is be honest with yourself. Decide what you're going to ride, what you like to ride. And if you need a bigger machine, if you think you would like to have a bigger machine, get a bigger machine. Because they do a lot of things better. On the other hand, if you, like I said, if you have the restrictions, that kind of makes this easy. I would say go out and buy a Honda Pioneer 500, give it a try. It's cheap, durable, and well, it's cheap and durable. So what else do you need? It's not feature packed. You will not win races with it unless that race goes for 20,000 miles. So would I recommend it? Yes, to the right people, I would recommend this machine. Personally, I probably would not buy it again because I don't have those restrictions. The advantages of a larger machine, to me, outweigh the disadvantages. I bought it as sort of a what if because it was cheap. Let's see how we like the 500. I like it well enough, but I don't think I'd do it again. So ultimately, it's up to you. I will close with this. I have fun in the machine. I enjoy it. I will continue to do so. Ultimately, that's what really matters above anything else. So thank you guys for watching.